Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome new show this week. All kind of great stuff. I was out of town last weekend at an event for real estate. Back in town, back in the studio this week. So a lot of great stuff and some crazy things going on right now in terms of rates, sales down. If you look at the last 4 weeks, new pending deals down 28%. We'll talk about that. It's shocking numbers really to look at. And that has to do with interest rates. Have they gotten up to 8+%? And we saw this a 23-year high just this past week in terms of interest rates. So we'll talk about what's going on with that. Thankfully, it came back down a little bit. We'll talk about what happened there, what's going on, and kind of what to look for. But we're doing the same thing we do every week for the past 14, 15 years plus here on the station. And really our main goal is to help keep you updated on everything related in terms of Myrtle Beach real estate, Grand Strand real estate, to help you just make better decisions with your largest assets. And so we've been doing that for a long time. You can always come back and watch these shows online if you want. We stream on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio. We stream them to LinkedIn, Facebook. Just follow me on Facebook if you want to at Blake Sloan. And if you always want to get more information or get an instant cash offer, you can always go to blakesloan.com. But tons of great stuff we'll talk about in terms of that. Main thing we'll do is dig into last month's brand new numbers. We haven't been over those yet on this show. We'll look at real time what's happening. We've seen a big shift, like I mentioned, in the past couple weeks in terms of new properties under contract as rates have gone up. And we'll talk about what to look for there overall. We had some things on last week's show just didn't get a chance to get to. Look at the top 5 questions that home sellers have and kind of help dig into a couple of those. But also my investment fund, I bought another property, just closing another one that we purchased. We've been purchasing like crazy, in some cases 3 and 4 in the same week. And we're looking to buy more. If you have anybody out there looking for instant, hassle-free, easy cash buyout for a fair price, that's a good price that everyone agrees on. We're looking for anything from commercial buildings, land, houses, condos, self-storage, commercial stuff. Looking to develop a few lands with our partners that we have in that. We have millions and millions and millions of dollars looking for instant buyouts. This is not some wholesaler junk where people come in and try to lock your property up. We close cash. And then we obviously do certain things to it. We add value to it. We call it value add. And then we either hold on to it or we either obviously do that short-term transition to something else. And so if you know anybody out there, if you're somebody who wants something like that, reach out to me overall on that. We have some amazing success stories. We'll talk about, look at what's happening with interest rates. I talked about 3 weeks ago on the show, this guy, Peter Schiff, he's a big Wall Street guy. I was talking about interest rates could hit 10%, and that'd be very problematic, Q4 into Q1 of next year. We'll talk about that as well. One thing I haven't really talked about in a while was we do offer real estate scholarship for anyone wanting to get into real estate who's an A player, who really wants to serve clients at the highest level. As you can tell, we're very intense in what we do and how we operate. And we are passionate about delivering to our clients, over-delivering to our clients. And we hate to lose, right? We love to win for our clients. And so if anybody listening wants to know more about that, you can also just reach out. I think you can type in, just Google Blake Sloan scholarship or go to sloanrealtygroup.net. We'll have that for you. But anyways, lots of great stuff today and lots of great stuff for you in today's show. Yeah, and that's just the whole DNA behind the show. I mention it every week, but I made a promise a long time ago. Look, if I can get one thing out of the show, it's to help people make better decisions with their largest asset and really to help fix the number one problem I see with any consumer when it comes to real estate. We have this conversation at pretty much every dinner I have with anybody that's, not in the business. And it's just something that I get these questions over and over and over, and people make the same mistakes over and over and over. And what I found was, in doing this show a long time, over a decade, I just found that even the long-time listeners screw it up. They do the same exact problems, and they make this mistake of looking at real estate agents as commodities, right? Thinking that they're all the same. And for the most part, that's right, because most of them are. Most agents are terrible. The average agent sells 4 homes a year in our marketplace, which will be less than that here soon as transaction count's gone down. Agent count has been very high. And so the reality is, people make the mistake of thinking that all agents are the same. And what it ends up doing is costing their very hard-earned equity, right? Like I mentioned before, people spend 20, 30 years building their hard-earned equity. and 10 to 15 minutes picking an agent, which is just absolutely crazy. And the crazy part is when they pick an agent, they have no criteria in how they pick them. They just go how they feel, who they like, who their friend recommended. And it's like crazy to think about. Like, this is not a Best Buy TV. This is your largest asset. And so, like I mentioned over and over, if you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, the last thing you want is some part-time attorney who's the cheapest attorney who your friend recommended. Right? You want the absolute best attorney who's the most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law to help navigate through the court system to give you a competitive advantage. And so you should demand that same level of excellence when you're dealing with your largest asset. But for some reason, people don't just go to Google and pick the first one. They just go get the cheapest one. They get the one their friend recommended, even though the person just got their license. Like, they don't look at track record, expertise, any of those things. And what happens, I see it every single day, which is why we still talk about it. It costs them $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in terms of hard-earned equity. I gave an example a few weeks ago where it costs a couple of $160,000 by picking the wrong agent. And so I've made a promise to talk about this on every show. And the bottom line is this: the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. Not the wall color, not the grass quality. It comes down to, how does the agent you choose actually execute from A to Z when you're selling a property? What most people don't realize is there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, when you're selling a property, it puts money in your pocket, the property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point. That can be anything from, do they answer the telephone when a buyer calls a for sale sign? Do they have a for sale sign? How long does it take them to respond to web leads online? What's the quality of the photos? What's the actual order of the photos? What's the pricing strategy? What's their negotiation strategy? What's their home inspection negotiation strategy? All these things matter. And what you find is you have a bunch of amateurs who are really trying to be there and help get your largest asset sold. And you're the one that takes the biggest loss because you're trying to save a little money on the front end. And so we just had a lady we talked to this week that she went to discount agent. She was talking about commission. She went somebody who was very, very cheap. The person listed it didn't advise her right, and she's getting sued for $179,000. And so our agent said, look, that's exactly what happens when you look for discount agents. And it's like my mom always said, it's a nickel holding up a dollar in many cases. So here's the thing. And you can get the great agents for the same price. I'm just saying, you got to make sure you're asking the right questions and pick them based on the right thing. Just like I mentioned, when you're selling a property, there's 118 variables. You have to have someone who can really maximize those. Now, the problem in the industry is it's simply impossible for one single agent to juggle all 118 different variables on one listing, much less 5 or 10 like most agents have. And so what happens is the ball of service gets dropped, the ball of strategy gets dropped, the ball of them negotiating on your behalf gets dropped, because the average agent in our marketplace sells 4 homes a year. There's not a whole lot of money to eat with, much less spend on marketing on your behalf to get your property the exposure it needs. And so what I did when I got in the business, I said, look, there's got to be a better way. I looked at what people did outside of real estate, and I brought the things and processes and systems that they did into real estate. I said, how do we have something that's predictable and gets predictable results for our clients every single time? And so I designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system to get homes sold twice as fast up and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. Like Dave mentioned, I designed it. It's exclusive to us. It's trademarked. We have federal trademarks. And it's one of those things that we're able to use to create maximum leverage for our clients. But what it does is it layers in 2 main things. One, a team of people, where you have a team of specialists, not some generalists who try and juggle all the balls, meanwhile dropping the ball of price, dropping the ball of service, and really dropping your hard-earned equity. So we have a team of specialists where each person specializes in what they do. And the second thing we have is technology. We're able to make sure we create maximum leverage for our clients using all these pieces of technology that allow us to create small gaps in small places, what we call it. And so we like to look at it and relate it to stacking the dominoes. And so I stack a domino at point 1, stack a domino at point 2, and all 118 of those dominoes, you stack them up and knock them over the right way. What you find is you create a small gap from your competition, but you add those small gaps up, they create one massive gap or competitive advantage at the end. And that's exactly what that guaranteed sold system is. So if you're thinking about selling, you owe it to yourself to at least investigate, listen to it. Anybody that's in business, even most realtors we meet with from other areas, that once they see it, it absolutely blows their mind. That's what got us in Forbes and Wall Street Journal, all those things. On the flip side, for buyers out there, it's very difficult. Interest rates are high. Inventory is still very low. You want to make sure you have a true expert who can advise you in the process and make sure they protect your interests. And so we have a system there called our Unfair Advantage Home Buying System for home buyers. Gives you priority access to foreclosure, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as home inspection. to get you that closing table successfully. And both of those include a huge team of contractors and vendors who make sure they can protect your asset and help you when you need someone to help guide you. We're not here to sell your house. We're to be your real estate resource for life. And so if you want to know more how it works, reach out to us, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime. We'll take a quick break, right back in a second. Constantly changing. Now, here to give us more insight into this is my friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, I know certain programs make it a lot easier for the seller. Which ones do you offer? Hey, Sean. In addition to our traditional program that sells your home for top dollar, we have an instant offer, a multi-offer, and a guaranteed offer program. I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars who are looking to buy homes in the Grand Strand right now. And what kind of return can you expect from them? Here's what I'll say. Every seller's needs are different. Some need maximum convenience, and we deliver that every single time. Some need the most amount of money, and we have a program for that as well. We have a trademark program that gets sellers up to 5 to 10% more money than traditional industry methods. All right, great insight, and thank you for this update. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or online at BlakeSloan.com. That's BlakeSloan.com, and consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, only real estate agent in who offers several options for home sales with real articulate stress.
That's right. For sellers that time crunch, we can agree to sell it by a certain date. They can ask for help on payment ready.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
We use our proven marketing plan and sell it to the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Market update, all kind of stuff going on right now. We have the brand new market numbers in from last month. That's what everyone uses, what we've been doing here for years and years. And that's really properties that closed last month. And that's one thing to keep a gauge. You look at year versus year. And so what you always kind of do, we're a seasonal marketplace. So if you're going to look at what happened in September of this year, 2023 versus September 2022, and you can kind of see the difference. And so, like, for example, if you look at sales of September this year versus September last year, single family sales down 13.5%. Not too bad. It was 20+% a few months ago. But we have the other type of numbers, which we call the front windshield numbers. Those closed deals we talked about, like the 13.5% decrease, those closed in September. The only problem with that is if you use that as data to make decisions, they actually went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. And so you want to make sure you have real-time data. And so we like to talk about two types, and I'll explain why today. You're starting to see a massive shift in what's happening as our rates are getting to a threshold that are very painful for people, right? We're seeing 8+% for just primary residence, second homes, 11-12% in terms of mortgage rates. And so it's one of those things that makes a lot of people go to the sideline. And I think you're going to see a very, very sharp slowdown here, at least the next 12 months into fourth quarter. And so we'll talk about both those numbers, and that's how we help our clients make better decisions. So really quick, I'll talk about the overall, rear view mirror numbers, aka what closed last month, and they're pretty decent, right? Looking at here, closed sales down 13.5% from last year. And so September this year had 460 sales. Last September, 532 sales. These are resale homes, which is the most accurate data that we're able to get. Basically anything that's not new construction that's out there in the marketplace for the entire Grand Strand. Prices, the great news, still up 6.7%. Right now, the median price is at $368,700. Like I mentioned, up 6.7%. Average sale price up significantly, up 14.3% at $477,017. It's very close to the high we had in April. That's the peak we had this year at $496,322. And that's an all-time higher in the Grand Strand we had back in April. It's bounced around the past couple months. One thing helping protect that price right now is inventory. Inventory is still very, very low. It's a super seller's market right now. There's only 3.1 months of inventory on the market, which means basically sellers still have the advantage. And that's why you're seeing price not decline very much yet. You're seeing price up 14%, even though that the overall closed sales are down significantly, down 13.5%, because inventory is still very low, right? Houses are still in high demand, even though it's come down in terms of units sold last year overall. And it's something to kind of watch and see overall. The average listing on the MLS right now is taking 4.1 showings to go. They're getting 4.1 showings per listing. The problem with that is the median amount of showings it takes to get an offer is 9. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of properties not sell right now. It goes back to what we talked about. The difference in your property getting sold and having the right agent is someone who can help you get the right exposure, right? If we know the average amount of showings a listing gets on MLS right now is 4, but it takes 9 showings on average to get a contract, guess what? You have to have someone who can get you the exposure you need and someone who can spend money on your behalf to bring eyeballs, aka buyers, into your property. And so that's just we're able to use data to make those decisions and kind of look at what's happening overall. The days on market for properties that go under contract right now, 67 days, up 11.7% for median, where it was at. The average days on market up significantly, up 18.3% at 84 days on market overall. And so very, very interesting to look at in terms of what's happening. If you look at overall closed sales for condos, condo sales down 7.7% last month, 490 condos closed versus last year. There was 531 condos, resale condos that closed. Median sales price pretty much flat, up 0.6% from last year. Right now, 236,500, which is still very, very good. Average sale price doing very well, up 9.6% from last year at $286,978. Looking at inventory, it's up slightly, which is very helpful. Seeing more condos be on the market, more condos sit a little bit longer. Right now, 3.8 months of condos on the market. Anything 6 months or less, like I mentioned, is a seller's market, meaning the seller has the advantage. And what that metric is a hypothetical equation that says if there wasn't another listing listed, how long would it take at the current run rate to go through all the listings? And right now it's at 3.8 months overall in terms of that. That's one thing that's interesting to look at. Back to that showings per listing. Right now, the average condo, basically the average amount of showings a condo gets on the market right now is 3 showings. The showings amount to pending takes 6, right? So they're getting half the amount it takes. If you look at average amount of showings it takes to get a contract is 10.1 showings. And so that's the challenge you're seeing right now while a lot of properties are sitting there. And here's the deal. That's why you can't go back to how you sold houses 2 years ago. That's why right now the agent you choose matters more than ever before. 2 years ago, right, you get properties, there was a frenzy. Buyers would come in and make offers without seeing it. Now they're a lot more cautious because the buyers are a little different right now. And before you could have some average agent, some basically amateur agent take some photos on their cell phone, put it MLS and get it sold. Now what's happening is they're sitting much longer. They're not getting sold. And like you look at the average amount of showings right now for a condo is 3.0, down 18% from last year. If you look at the average amount of showings it takes until it gets a contract, they call that showings to pending, takes 10.1. And so you can see the math problem there that creates for home sellers or condo sellers right now. That's why right now more than ever, you must have an agent who's aggressive, who can get you the marketing and exposure that you need and that you deserve with your largest asset. And it goes back to what I talked about in the beginning. Like, look, you got to make sure you ask the right questions. You got to say, hey, what are you spending on marketing? What type of marketing do you do? What's your results look like? How many properties do you sell? What's your marketing budget? Like, you want to make sure you're able to talk about those things. And one of the success stories we have today was someone who was listed with another agent, had 0 traffic, a couple showings, that's it, no offers, nothing. They came to us. We found the problem, which is marketing. Did ours, blew it up with showings, massive traffic, got her in contract right at full price. And I'll talk about that today as well. Let's talk about, though, the shocking numbers, so to speak. We're talking about the front windshield numbers. These are properties, and this is what I like to track the most. I mentioned before, we track this in my office every single morning. We go in our morning huddle with our team every morning. And so we look at how many properties went under contract their previous 7 days in our marketplace. And we also look at what their volume amount is, and also how many properties are for sale. Check this out. Last week's show, there was 527 properties went under contract. This week, only 446, a 15% drop, just a little over a week. And so a significant drop there. And here's the other part. If you look at the overall volume, so last week's show, there's 527 properties that went under contract for $189,709,000. This week, 446 under contract for $154 million. So significantly 30 plus million there. It's basically an 18.72% drop just in a week and a half in terms of volume. So 18% less amount of volumes getting sold in a 7-day period just from 2 weeks ago. Now, what was the correlation there? Rates went up significantly, right? 23-year high, which makes a lot of buyers pump their brakes, which means you want to make sure if you're thinking about selling, you want to have an agent who's very, very good. Now, it doesn't mean you can't sell it. We're having a lot of success, and we just beat our last year's numbers for the last 10 weeks in a row. And so that's because our team hustles. We're pushing very, very hard in terms of what we're doing. We're making sure that we're navigating this market very well. And I like the market personally because I started my company in 2008 got in the business in 2005. And so we're built for this type of market. And that's why we're able to be so good at marketing. I'm basically just a marketer in the real estate business. And this is the time that's needed the most. And so very, very interesting to look at. And here's a kind of crazy number too. If you look at properties in the last 7 days, over $1 million winter contract, there was only 6. In last week's show, there was 14. If you go back, properties over 500,000, there were 58. Last week's show, there were 79. So significant drop there, both in the mid to high end properties in general. Let's talk about something even crazier. If you go back to just 4 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago from today, I keep track of this. So 4 weeks ago, there was 556 properties under contract versus 446 now, a 19.78% drop just in the last 3.5 weeks. And so it's significant to look at overall. If you look at volume, though, this is a crazy number. So 4 weeks ago, and I did the numbers 3.5 because obviously it runs on the weekends. But if you look here, just those 3.5, 4 weeks ago, it was 214,128,000 winter contract. This week, only 154. It's a 28% drop in terms of volume sold in the 7-day period. So you're seeing, in essence, 28% less amount of real estate volume being sold in that 7-day period, just in a 4-week period. So you're talking, 1/4 decline just in a few weeks. And so I'm not saying that to alarm, but I'm just doing that real time when we talk about strategy with our clients and what's going on. I do think if you're thinking about selling, thankfully price has not declined much yet. I do think if these numbers continue, you will see price soften. So if you're thinking about selling, you probably want to sell a little bit earlier than normal because we haven't seen that decline yet. Thankfully, last month in the rearview mirror numbers, price is still up. But if you see a 28% drop in the amount of volume, eventually you're going to see some softening of price there. And that's something to think about. Look back just last week's show, there's 874 single-family homes in Horry County for sale. Right now, 914. So you can see that overall inventory has been increasing. The market has slowed down. One thing driving that obviously has been interest rates, right? Interest rates right now, they did hit a high, a 23-year high at 7.81% just last week, before last weekend. And some lenders were quoting 8.1% for single-family residential primary residences. And that's kind of crazy, right? Thankfully, the past couple of days, it went back down, then it bumped back up after some inflation news came out that wasn't very good. But right now, for a 30-year fix, is 7.69%, a 15-year fixed rate, 7.02%, a 30-year jumbo loan, 7.85%, a 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 7.13%, a 30-year FHA, 7.15%, and a 30-year VA loan, 7.16%. So you got to look at, too, if you add second homes on that, there are some overlays from Fannie and Freddie Mac, which add 1-2% based on what type of loan you're at. So it's getting a little bit expensive, and you're seeing a lot of buyers pump their brakes, which could lead to a very, very, very difficult fourth quarter. And I share that and say, look, you still have tons of properties. So we're still selling 20-plus properties a week, and we're still buying properties. But the reality is you want to make sure you have someone good, because we're seeing so many properties right now sit on the market. And here's what's happening. You're seeing sellers drop their price when they don't need to. They think it's price problem, but it's actually an exposure problem. Your agent's not getting the marketing done, and the place doesn't look good online like it should. And so you're costing yourself $15,000, $20,000, not realizing that you just went with the wrong agent who wasn't doing their job the right way. And so these are things we're seeing as we're coming in. And so if you owe it to yourself, say, look, if you're thinking about selling, I would definitely do it earlier than normal. I definitely think that we may have a tough fourth quarter and a very tough first quarter next year based on what a lot of people are saying. And so I want to take advantage now and get maximum equity for my investment properties. I'm thinking about selling. I'm thinking about cashing out at the top. Now may be the time. If you want to know more how that works, reach out to me. Call me, 843-808-SOLD. Also, we have an amazing tool on blakesloan.com. I spend thousands of dollars a month for it. It gives you instant, super easy home evaluation on your phone. You just type your address, click 2 buttons, and it gives you your own dashboard. It tells you what your equity is. It tells you what your forecast of equity is. All these great things, free, no obligation, no hassle at all. And then also you can get an instant cash offer in that same box. You click a button and says, I want an instant cash offer. It gives you the data, the numbers, and an instant cash offer to make it simple and easy for you to just do that by going to blakesloan.com. We'll take a quick break, right back with some awesome success stories and some other cool things we'll talk about in a second.
WRNN listeners, Blake Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. Here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know what your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 orders.
There's simply no other agent Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot Buyers Alert. My team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking to buy homes here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, anywhere from $250,000 to $4.4 million. You're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately, 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. If you've been listening for a while, we talk about that every week because one thing we like to do is put our money where our mouth is. So many agents promise you this. They say they're number one. And what they don't have is this thing called buyers in waiting. And so we spend tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month, every single month, driving buyers from all across the globe to our website. We share every week. And obviously, I used to have Dave read that. We have right here, but we have the amount of active home buyers on our website with a username, password, account. I mean, these aren't just hits. Like a lot of agents say these are hits. Like these are actual people who we have that have an account with us that are active home buyers searching for properties. And so we do that by spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month driving traffic online. I get this question a lot, and I'll talk about this in a second. It's like, hey, what makes you different than anyone else? And the main thing that makes us different is my business model creates a huge competitive advantage for us that allows me to outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint and create maximum leverage and maximum exposure for our clients. And so right now, active home buyers, 73,819 active home buyers, 73,819 active home buyers from all over. I got Michael Tedemar from Markham, Ontario. I got Leonard Everett from Olean, New York. I got I got another one here. I can't even say that. Galef, Ontario. I got Fairfax, Virginia. I got Myrtle Beach, South Carolina here. I got Ellen from Charlotte. I got Nicole from Denver, Colorado. Belmont, New Hampshire. Conway, South Carolina. Montauk, New Jersey. Baltimore, Maryland. Fort Myers, Florida. Covington, Virginia. Staten Island, New York. Ashburn, Virginia. Brooklyn, New York. Philadelphia, PA. Fairbluff, North Carolina. Rochester, New York. Santa Clara, California. And so you see these people all over. And what we're able to do is we have a team of buyers experts who are all day, every day on the phones, and their job is to follow up and serve them. Now, here's a cool part where if you have a listing that you want to get sold, what most agents do is they put a sign in the yard and they sit back and pray that someone else brings a buyer, not really doing anything, but just sitting back getting half the commission. And so the reality is we have a sales team here with 25 plus agents who are on the phones making 16,000 phone calls a week, and they match up buyers and sellers. And so that's the advantage you have with us. Got a couple quick seconds. Big shout out to Ralph and Nancy in a beautiful luxury multi-million-dollar home on the waterway. Recently made a decision to sell so they can have more land to ride horses with their granddaughter. Ralph is a businessman here locally. Thankfully heard us on radio and TV, gave us a call. We came in, designed a custom plan for them, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, started a massive traffic campaign to their property. Within weeks, had them a fantastic offer on their property, able to negotiate a closing date that worked perfectly with their new home, and because it was being built, and we're able to get them the exact closing date they want, maximum equity in their pocket. Now they can move on, help their granddaughter out, ride horses, and put maximum equity in their pocket. And so 1 quick minute left. Also, David and Rose own a house in Conway. They decided to sell their home because it's skyrocketed in past years in value. They want to pay off some debt. The problem was they had listed with another realtor for 6 months, had a couple showings, not one single offer. They were frustrated. Thankfully, heard about our guaranteed sold system on the radio, gave us a call. We came in, identified the problem, which was marketing, designed our custom plan, global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough. Within a couple days, so massive traffic, had a fantastic offer right at full price. They were super happy. Now they can move on, pay off debt, put extra equity in their pocket. Don't let yourself cost yourself hard on equity. Reach out to me, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. We'll see you right here next week, same time.